Welcome home, familia.
And in today's video, we are reacting to The Most Beautiful Life Goes On, a story of BTS by The Asian Theory. Wow, familia, we are in for a good one. 33 minutes, very well fed. I honestly don't know what to expect from this. I'm guessing this is gonna be very emotional, very sentimental on the hardships and the journey of BTS from where they started to where they are now. I'm very excited. I love their journey.
This video has been highly requested all the way from our Patreon familia.
So we are so excited to finally be reacting to this.
But before we do that, familia, make sure you gently tap the subscribe button very nicely and gently. And question of the day.
Can you please share with us your story of how you were introduced to BTS?
I'm excited to go through the comment section, but I say we jump into it.
Yes, let's do it.
I think we might need something first.
What?
Oh, thank you.
No, this is for my left eye, this is for my right eye.
Okay, I guess I'll use my coffee cup.
But I guess you can. There you go.
The avocado! Thanks!
One tear allowed.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Most Beautiful Life Goes On, a story of BTS by The Asian Theory. Oh. Starting with Fake Love, Kim Namjoon.
Kim Namjoon, our president.
Our
The
president.
leader.
Worldwide handsome, Seokjin. Kim Seokjin.
Yoongi.
Min Yoongi. Suga.
Miss you.
Hope your shoulders are right. Our hope.
Jay.
Jung Ho-seok. Park Jimin. This epic music.
I know.
Kim Taehyung.
Tay-Tay.
Night Apple is Poison Apple. Ooh, we're throwing it all. We're starting from the beginning.
Wow. The growth.
I've
Just
been
from
ARMY.
that picture to this picture, there's so much growth.
I've been ARMY since 2018, and I'm still getting like the chills from this. I couldn't imagine ARMYs from like their debut.
Yes. Where are the real ones at? Been there since the beginning. Where you at?
BTS. Oh my god. This is some beautiful design, animation, Asian Theory.
Today, everyone knows the name of BTS. They've been invited onto late night talk shows, they've shattered records, they've sold out stadiums, they've made it onto the big screen. These days, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who didn't know who these guys were, or at least haven't heard one of their songs.
Right.
And if they don't, either they've been living under a rock, or they're 100 years
stupid.
old. The success
They're
of the
100
Bang
years
10
old.
Boys is worldwide. But it wasn't always like this.
Yes.
And it all
Ooh.
started with one man.
Hitman Bang.
Ooh.
YG. YG wanted to make himself a rap group. In the late 90s, he experimented with this idea with
young.
different trainees, eventually choosing 7 members. And while 3 of them eventually left, the remaining 4, Teddy, Danny, Jinhwan, and Baekhyun, debuted in 1998 as One
98.
Time. Their first album, titled One for Your Mind, was one of the year's best-selling albums and won several awards, including the
Familia,
Global
we had
Disc
no
and SBS Music Awards
Wow,
for Best
98.
New Artist and KMTV's Award for Best Hip Hop Artist. The group enjoyed moderate success and released 4 more albums before going on indefinite hiatus in 2006 due to their mandatory military service.
Wow.
The year was 2010, and the 5-year-old company Big Hit Entertainment had previously signed 2 artists, 88 and 2AM. They had their share of
Wow, that was their
successes, but they
first?
were very traditional K-pop groups. Big Hit wanted a fresh new sound, and upon listening to One Time, CEO Hitman Bang Si-hyuk had decided that that was the sound that he was looking for.
Oh
and
my
on top
God.
of that, the youth needed someone to
He had a
relate
vision.
to, and more importantly, look up to. He had decided he would create a hip-hop group. At 15 years old, Kim Namjoon auditioned for a certain
15.
Big Deal Records, which he completely botched, forgetting the lyrics to the song he was performing.
He botched it?
Big Deal- At 15 years old, Kim Namjoon auditioned for a certain Big Deal Records, which he
Oh my
completely botched,
goodness.
forgetting the lyrics to the song he was performing. Afterwards, fellow rapper Sleepy recommended that he try auditioning at another label, Big Hit, and even put in a
Wow.
good word for him to one of the producers there. At age 16, Kim auditioned in front of Bang Si-hyuk himself and instantly impressed him. He was offered a deal with Big Hit on the spot, which
Wow.
Kim accepted and became a trainee, officially choosing a name for himself, Rap Monster,
Monster.
destined to become the leader of the newly
Oh
created
my
group.
Namjoon was dressed.
What?
Destined
His
to become the
hair.
leader of the newly
We've
created
seen this before, but it
Now
shocks
that
me every
Fearless Leader was
time.
chosen, they needed more
Wow.
members.
Kim Namjoon next.
came Yoongi.
Yoongi.
Min Yoongi was a 17-year-old living in Daegu, an avid basketball player and rapper. He had been interested in music, especially rap, from a very early age. And despite his parents' disapproval, started performing as a rapper while still in high school. He quickly gained attention as a rapper and producer in the underground hip-hop scene. One day he saw a flyer for a rap competition called Hit It and decided to participate.
Yoongi with the
Although he only
mohawk,
placed second,
familia.
the company hosting the competition,
We've
guessed
seen this
it,
so many
Big
times.
Hit, decided to sign him on as a producer. Hitman Bang spoke with him afterwards, convincing him to join a newly created hip-hop group. He told him to just focus on rapping and assured him that he wouldn't need to dance. He was lying.
He was lying.
Just like that, the new group had a second member, known as Suga, a combination of the first two syllables of shooting guard, his favorite position in basketball. But they wouldn't stop there.
Wow.
I did not know Suga was short for shooting guard.
We knew that Yoongi loved basketball, but
He loves basketball, like his name came from it.
Familia, I did not know Yoongi's favorite position was a shooting guard. First of all, I would think Yoongi's a point guard man.
Point guard?
Yoongi likes to be the scorer, I see.
yeah, he's a shooter.
He's a shooter. He's a Suga.
Rappers were nice, but Big Hit actually needed a dancer.
A dancer.
Oh, J-Hope.
So it looks like the
Jung
rap
Ho-sung
line came
Always
first.
loved dancing.
Yeah.
He was in the starting lineup of the dance crew
Ooh.
Neuron in his hometown, Gwangju. He was good at it too, winning several local championships and even winning a championship at the national level
So
in
cold,
2008.
J-Hope.
When he decided to audition for JYP Entertainment though, after a few rounds of auditions, he was cut. Fortunately, he didn't give up and went to his second option, a
Nice.
smaller, lesser-known company, Big Hit Entertainment.
Wow.
His dance skills and strong understanding of rhythm made him an instant favorite, and he was signed on as J-Hope.
So
Not
he
only
won
that, but they
nationals?
saw potential in him to become a rapper, which at this point he had little experience with. However,
Right.
J-Hope quickly felt that he wasn't a good fit and decided to leave Big Hit
Oh my goodness.
until RM convinced both J-Hope and Big Hit that the group wouldn't be complete without him.
Oh my god, RM.
Right.
근데 형 항상 중앙고야 좋아서 와야 된다고 좋아서 안 오면 시시하고
RM knew it from the beginning. I trusted you guys.
우리 멤버 보고 왔어. 멤버 보고 왔어 진짜. 근데 난 진짜 네가 그 기억
With the addition of J-Hope,
Wow.
the rap line was
Familia, like, can you imagine BTS without J-Hope?
Hell no, to the no, 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 hell to the no.
It wouldn't be BTS.
Our hope, our sunshine, our flower.
Yes.
근데 난 진짜
Wow,
네가
our hope.
그 기억
With the addition of J-Hope, the rap line was complete. Now they needed some singers. Now, just like how RM, an amazing rapper with a ton of experience, was chosen as the first official member of the rap line, it would only make sense that a legendary singer and dancer would be the perfect first member of the vocal line,
Wow.
right?
Right?
Right.
Wrong? We need the
But
visuals.
Kim
Actor.
So-jin didn't have any sort of
We
experience.
need worldwide handsome.
Believe it or not, one day when he was walking on the streets of his hometown, Anyang, he was approached by a representative of SM Entertainment with an offer to work for the company. In
Wow.
typical Jin fashion, he never followed up with it because he believed it to be a scam. Apparently, Jin was a very good-looking guy because years later, this time as a college student in Seoul, he was once again approached on the street, this time by an executive at Big Hit Entertainment.
Jin is so handsome, people are just approaching him to recruit him.
This time as a college student in Seoul,
But
he was
seeing
once again
Jin in a
approached
classroom
on the street,
setting?
this
I
time
know, right?
by an executive
Crazy.
at Big Hit Entertainment.
Ooh. This is crazy.
He didn't sing, he didn't dance. He was at school to become an actor, and he decided to audition to become
the
an actor.
shoulders.
Big Hit, however, had different plans for him, and convinced him to become a vocalist for their new group.
Wow.
To do so, he literally learned to dance and sing starting from zero.
Wow.
But thankfully, not without help from other
It's
vocalists.
just sheer hard work.
Yeah.
Whoa, JK! He was so young.
Jung Jung-kook initially had dreams of becoming a badminton player when he was young, but
Wow.
after seeing G-Dragon perform Heartbreaker on television, it influenced him to want to become a singer
So
instead.
G-Dragon-
Because of this, at only
Wow.
age 14, he decided to audition for the South Korean talent show, Superstar K. He didn't pass auditions.
Familia, you don't know how many times I've watched this edition of JK.
He just looks so shy, and we know that he used to be so shy back then.
But he still had the voice. Like you can see his body language, he was so shy, but then as soon as he opened his mouth and started singing, you felt like his presence and
Yeah.
power.
His voice was powerful from the very beginning.
Young
But this was
JK.
just enough to catch the eye of not
He's, like,
one
fidgeting
company,
with his
not
fingers.
2 companies, but 7 different
Oh my
companies.
Ooh.
This included JYP, FNC, Woollim, Starship Entertainment, TS,
Din Nam
Cube,
June.
and of course, Big Hit Entertainment. So why did Jungkook, given the choice of all these bigger companies, decide to go with the relatively smaller company, Big Hit? The answer was simple. Because he thought,
Simple.
and I quote, RM was cool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to sign with them. That brings the number
Love
June.
it.
Wow,
5.
J-Hope.
The next member of BTS was just as surprised to find Big Hit as Big Hit was to find him. And it almost didn't happen.
Wow. Kim Tae-young next.
Kim Tae-young was always passionate about music, and it was always his dream to pursue it as a career.
Wow.
However, it was hard, as his family was poor, his parents being humble farmers. His father told him that if he was passionate about music, he should learn an instrument, and he did, spending 3 years practicing with the saxophone.
So
One day,
saxophone
one of
was
his
his
friends
very
decided to
first
audition for Big
instrument?
Hit Entertainment when they were holding auditions in his hometown of Daegu. Taeyoung, being a
Daegu.
good friend, came with him to keep him company. But when one friend in his hometown of Daegu, Taeyoung, being a good friend, came with him to keep him company. But when one of the team members in charge of the audition saw Taeyoung, he encouraged him to audition as well.
Wow.
With nothing to lose, he did. That day, he was the only one in Daegu to move on to the next round of auditions, and eventually became a trainee for
So
Big Hit
his friend didn't
Entertainment.
move on?
They decided to keep him
Yeah, so I'm
to the
guessing
next
only
round
he
of
did.
auditions, and eventually became a trainee for Big Hit Entertainment.
Wow.
They decided to keep him as a surprise member and didn't want to reveal him as one of the members until his debut. In the same vein, Big Hit had him choose something mysterious for his stage name. He decided to go with V for
Oh.
victory. Here
For
seems like a
victory.
very round number to stop, right? 6 members for a new hip-hop group, 3 rappers and 3
Oh,
vocalists.
no! That's not a good way to stop.
Group, but still there was something missing.
There's one
Some-
thing, one big thing missing.
Someone that could take this already
person
great
named
group
Jimmy.
of artists and push it even further to achieve perfection. A powerhouse. Someone so naturally
powerhouse.
talented that they could stand out in a room full of already talented
What?
artists. This
Jimmy!
project that Big Hit had embarked upon needed a capstone.
These adjectives they're using to describe each members are
Was a
great.
naturally talented dancer. When he was in middle school, he attended a dance academy and continued to pursue
Wow,
dance
like
at Busan High
contemporary
School
dance,
Arts,
is
where
it?
he studied contemporary dance and was the top
Wow.
student in the whole modern dance department.
Jimmy.
Impressed by his
Those
raw
calves.
talent, a teacher encouraged him to audition for Big Hit Entertainment, who were holding auditions in Busan. He was only 16 when he passed the audition and moved to Seoul to become a trainee. He was the final member of the group, and he also had the shortest training period.
Wow.
What's
Jimmy
interesting
had
to
the
note
shortest
is that the
training
group
period.
feels very much ragtag because, in a sense, with the exception of Jimin, it was.
Ooh.
RM and J-Hope only auditioned for Big Hit because they didn't pass their auditions with the first company they chose. And despite their amazing talent, Suga and Jungkook didn't win the competitions they were in, but they signed on to Big Hit after the fact because of their high-quality performances.
Wow.
V never even planned on auditioning and just decided to do it on a whim. And they literally just found Jin on the streets.
Right.
Perhaps it was fate. Because this was the group that they chose.
Oh my
Just like that,
goodness.
in 2012, the newly created Bangtanso년dan, the
Bangtanso년dan.
Bulletproof Boy Scouts, or simply BTS,
Bulletproof Boy
was 7.
Scouts. Wow.
Wow.
It all connected.
리허설 때 이거 보고 많이 웃었습니다.
They had the group, but they still needed the music. In early 2013, they set out to create some social media presence for themselves before officially debuting, posting song covers on both SoundCloud and YouTube, which you can still go watch today. In May, Big Hit launched a countdown
Oh my
clock
God,
on their
the
website
teaser.
in preparation for BTS's debut album, complete with a trailer and a ton of promotional
Crazy.
material, including photos for the first time of all the
Wow.
members
Look how
of the official
different
lineup.
the style used to be too.
This is when they were strictly hip hop
Finally,
group.
big day came. June 12,
Too cool for
2013.
school.
BTS held a press conference and a debut showcase where they performed their 2 singles, No More Dream and We Are Bulletproof
Wow.
Part 2.
Oh my goodness.
The same day,
RM
the
had
2 Cool
RM
for
in
School
his
album,
hair.
as well as the music video for No More Dream, were released.
Getting off the bus. Oh my goodness.
The very next day, BTS performed the song again on their official debut stage on Mnet's M Countdown. This was the world's first taste of BTS.
Wow.
Commercially, the album didn't do extraordinarily well. The lead single, No More Dream, peaked at 124 in Korea, and the album sold only 24,000 copies during its first year. Bulletproof Part 2 didn't even chart. The first year wasn't all that great for BTS, but despite everything, people saw them.
Wow.
People saw the sparkle in their eyes and their limitless potential. And they were hot, of course. On July 9th, ARMY was established as BTS's official fandom. They made their comeback only 2 months later in September when they released their single No, along with their EP, part 2 of what would be their school
No, June.
Oh, Are You Late Too?
Oh, Are
In
You
the
Late
music
Too?
video for the single, they made a commentary on the harsh Korean education system, along with their previous themes of hopes and dreams. No
Wow.
peaked at 92 in Korea, but also quickly fell off the charts. The album debuted at number 4 on the Gaon Weekly chart, and it was the 55th best-selling album in South Korea that year. This was enough to secure them the coveted
That
New
MV
Artist
was
of the Year
so
award at the Melon Music Awards,
artistic.
the Golden Disc Awards, and the Seoul Music Awards. Part 3 of the School Trilogy was released in February of 2014, the EP School Love Affair.
School
This time,
Love
the lead
Affair.
single was Boy in Love.
Oh, JK!
Baby
The single
JK.
being Just One Day.
What you want?
The album, as well as both singles, enjoyed moderate success, with the album topping the Gaon album chart, as well as
This
making
is
its
so
first
beautiful
international
to
appearance
watch.
at number 3 on the Billboard World Albums chart. The
Oh
album
my
also
goodness.
marked their first distinctive change in theme, focusing more on school life and young love, as evidenced by their Boy in Love music video. They also held their first fan meetings with a crowd of 3,000 in Seoul. BTS
3,000
did well.
people.
That is until July. This is unfortunately a dark chapter in the lives of BTS and our
Familia, this is so beautiful to watch. So as they're growing and their mindset is growing as well, like I feel like it kind of matches our stages of life.
Like you said, as their mind develops, they like put that into their music, and it helps us understand how we're developing.
Wow, I agree. BTS is our therapist.
army. That's right. American Hustle Life.
Ooh.
I'm joking, of course, but American Hustle Life was a reality show put together by Mnet that brought BTS to Los Angeles, where they had the unique opportunity to learn the true ways of hip-hop from the masters. And it was a pretty darn cringy opportunity, but an opportunity nonetheless. Whatever you do, just don't watch the Warren G version of Boy in Love. You've been warned. However, cringe and all, the trip proved fruitful for BTS, making
I'm sure they
connections,
grew
performing
so
their first
much.
US concert for free in front of 200 fans,
Part of the journey.
as well as their first appearance at KCON. The next month, in August, BTS released their first full-length studio album, Dark and Wild. The album featured 2 singles, Danger
Is JK wearing leather pants?
or Hormone.
Oh!
The
Oh
album
my
featured
God.
a marked shift in sound with a touch of R&B and electronica. It was met with moderate success. It peaked at number 2 in Korea, selling over 200,000 albums. In October, and again in May of the following year, BTS went on their first and second concert tours, known as the Red Bullet Tour,
Oh
where they
my
visited
goodness.
13 different countries, including Japan, the Philippines, Australia, the US, Mexico, and many others. They also came out with their first Japanese album in December, Wake Up, featuring many Japanese versions of their songs, as well as original tracks Wake Up and The Stars, followed by a Japan tour and a solo concert in Korea.
Wow! Always worked so hard.
Although Dark and Wild got decent attention, they needed something different. They needed something that would shake things up. They got to work. April 29, 2015 was their comeback. When this album was produced, each member had a hand in writing songs for the album. They again changed their sound from aggressive hip-hop to youthful, colorful styles.
Youthful,
and not only their
colorful.
sound, but their image as well. This can be evidenced by their newest EP, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life.
Ah, that
The
album!
album cover, they ditched the dark colors and the bulletproof vest symbol that had become so synonymous.
That's when they changed their
with BTS,
logo.
And replaced it with a simple white and pink background overlaid with the title. And
Oh, they
then
didn't change the logo
they
yet.
dropped the single that would change everything.
Oh.
I Need You.
That changed everything for them.
So they made a
It
pivot
was
with their look and
sentimental. It was
sound.
hopeful.
Yeah.
It was new. Just by looking at the music video, we can see that BTS has also ditched their punk bad boy image and replaced it with a more real, vulnerable,
it looks
down-to-earth,
more like
and
them now.
youthful feel. This proved to be the
Youthful
change that
feel.
BTS needed for mainstream success. Billboard called it one of the greatest K-pop songs of the decade. It charted at number 5 in Korea, and even led them to their first music show win on SBS MTV's The Show. And that
Oh
wasn't
my.
all. They released their second single,
Look at
June's
June.
face!
SBS
So
MTV's
adorable.
The Show. And that wasn't all. They released their
Even
second single,
Jin.
Dope, on June 24th, which started off with a poignant line from RM.
어서 와. 방탄은 처음이지?
Welcome. Is this your first time with BTS? And you know what? For a lot of people,
Wow.
it was. In a way, their first studio album and tour can be seen as their
energy.
stepping stone between old school BTS and new school. In November, they came back with their follow-up EP, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life,
Oh my
Part 2,
goodness.
the second EP in what would be dubbed the Youth Trilogy, which featured the single Run. The album focused even more on the frivolity, friendship, and carefree attitude that comes with enjoying one's youth. But just like in I Need You, contrasted that with suffering, depression, loneliness, society, and the stark and sometimes dark reality of life. Compare this with the far cry of the No More Dreams music video. It felt real. It was darker, grittier, more humble, more meaningful, and most importantly, RM lost his mohawk. Run also connected narratively with their
And the glasses.
RM lost his mohawk. Run also connected narratively with their previous single, I Need You. And another video released in September titled On Stage
storyline
established what would come to be known as the BTS universe, or the BU.
BTS
which would eventually combine music videos, short films, books, short stories, webtoons, and even a mobile game to create a cohesive story. And I won't go down this rabbit hole because there is a lot to digest.
This rabbit hole?
To look into
We
if
went
you're a
down that
hardcore
rabbit
army.
hole.
The same month, they kicked off their third tour, the Most Beautiful Moment in Life on Stage tour, where they performed songs from their two recent EPs, Part 1 and Part 2. And Part 2 was a hit. Their biggest so far. It topped the weekly Gaon album and Billboard World Albums charts. And on Billboard, it stayed there for multiple weeks. The first K-pop act to do so. It also appeared on the Billboard 200 albums chart. Not world albums, which is reserved for foreign non-English songs, but simply the top 200 albums.
I mean, that's
at 171.
climbing up. We're
Kind of
climbing
amazing
up.
considering that this was back in 2015. They also received Best World Performer at the 17th Mnet Asian Music Awards. This brings us to Part 3 of the Youth Trilogy.
Oh my
The
goodness.
Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Young Forever, released on May 2nd, 2016, which featured probably my favorite
this is my
BTS
favorite album.
Young Forever was actually a compilation album of parts 1 and 2, so it was mostly the same songs, but it was notable that it had some new singles, Epilogue, Young Forever, Fire, and Save Me. The latter two performed exceptionally well, with both songs topping the Billboard World Digital Songs chart. This was also the second BTS album to chart on the Billboard 200 at 107, and it topped both the Gaon Weekly and Monthly chart, which earned
They're, like,
BTS
climbing up.
their first Daesang.
Look at the faces!
At the 8th Melon Music Awards. They went on to do the second half of their
My heart!
Namjoon's
album of the
face.
year.
I was
at
looking
the
at
8th Melon
Jin's
Music
too.
Awards. They went on to do the second half of their tour, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life on Stage, Epilogue, selling out many of their concerts and even selling out KCON in the US where they headlined the event. In September, they dropped their second Japanese album, Youth, featuring Japanese versions of tracks from their previous 3 EPs.
Man, the growth already, you know?
Which went gold and peaked at
Then
number
Wings
1
is about
on
to
Japanese
come up.
charts. And only a month later, in October of 2016, it happened. BTS dropped their second studio album, Wings. It sold over 500,000 copies
in the
its
first week.
In comparison, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Part 1, released just the previous year, which topped the Gaon chart, sold about 500,000 in its entire lifetime. Wings was big, but the true showstopper was its lead single, Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Oh my goodness. When we saw this MV, we were
converted.
Which got them their first all-kill, topping 8 music charts in South Korea. Its music video gained 6 million views in the first 24 hours, which broke the YouTube record for the highest number of views of a K-pop group music video within 24 hours. The album
So
hit
BTS
number
has always been
26
breaking
on the
YouTube
Billboard
records.
200, the highest ever charting K-pop album on Billboard. They ended
my
up selling
goodness.
1.5 million copies in South Korea in 2016 alone, and it
Just
netted them
in
the
South
Artist
Korea.
of the Year award at the Mnet Asian Music Awards that same year, the first non-Big 3 artist ever to receive them.
Oh my god.
상자는 방탄소년단.
Look at V, he looks so confident just walking. Wow, RM's
After
face.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears,
Like,
they were on a
familiar, this was 4 years ago, 2016.
Wow, the growth that BTS has been through is
Immaculate.
I'm so happy I'm learning all of this, especially their very early first few years.
Like before Wings, right?
Yes, and before the most beautiful moment in life.
Asian theory, thank you.
This is a very well put
BTS
video.
was unstoppable. In February of 2017, they released the instant hit Spring Day, which, quoting
Oh
a Korean
my
reviewer,
God.
embodied nostalgia and sorrow and opened a new chapter in BTS's aesthetics and
Oh,
lyricism, and
chills.
attracted fans across generational boundaries. Which,
Wow,
by the way,
they hit
is
new
still on
emotions
Korean
with Spring
charts
Day.
after nearly 4 years. And the same day I'm writing this, it ranked number 53 on Melon. It won Song of the Year at the 9th Melon Music Awards. After the release of Spring Day, they went on yet another tour, the 2017 BTS Live Trilogy, Episode 3, The Wings Tour. The tickets sold out within minutes, including in the United States, the first K-pop artist to do so, and went on to win Best Social Artist at the Billboard Music Awards, the first for a Korean artist, but they would go on to win this award 4 years in a row. The next was a period of massive growth for both the group's popularity as well as their style. They released the Love Yourself series, starting with Love Yourself Her in September of 2017, Love Yourself Tear in May of 2018, and Love Yourself Answer in August of 2018. 3 albums that gave us some of the most classic BTS songs that we know and love today, such as Mic Drop.
Hey.
Every song is a hit.
Wow, this is a legendary MV too.
Euphoria. Idol.
There's just so many more. Even when he stops, there's so much more.
Wow, all of these.
All 3 albums were commercial successes. Her being their first album to top 2 million album sales. But Tear and Answer also did equally well. These 3 albums, as well as their Japanese album, Face Yourself, proved that they weren't done yet. Not even close. During this time, they shattered countless records. Their singles went platinum. They topped charts. They won awards. And not only did they break YouTube records, but they broke records that they themselves set again and again and again. This is the period where BTS really started enjoying global recognition, working with huge Western artists such as Nicki Minaj, Designer, and Steve Aoki. It wasn't their first time having international features on their songs, but it was definitely the biggest. And even though they were already, without a doubt, the biggest act to ever come out of South Korea, they had their eyes set even higher. They went on tour once again for the Love Yourself World Tour. During this tour, they collaborated with Steve Aoki to make the song Wasted on Me.
So funny.
Notable for being their first
this song holds a
all-English
special place
feature,
in my heart.
and it also served as a jumping-off point for BTS to gain a following of English speakers. Not that they really needed the help, as they sold out concerts even in the US leg of the tour, including at Citi Field in Queens, New York, where tickets sold out in 20 minutes.
Wow.
And as if that wasn't enough, they dropped the movie in November, Burn the Stage, which in the US alone grossed $3.54 billion in the first weekend, breaking the record set by One Direction's movie, This Is Us. In September, RM had the unique opportunity to speak at the United Nations, where he spoke of anti-violence
This is more
and
and more
2 years
growth.
later, he would be offered to speak on a second occasion about persistence and hope in the face of challenges.
I'm getting
And to top
chills.
it all off, in October, the president of South Korea awarded every member of BTS the 5th class Hwangwon Order of Cultural Merit for outstanding meritorious services in the field of culture and art, which is one of the highest South Korean orders of merit one can receive. And that's no exaggeration. 2019 estimates put BTS's contribution to the South Korean economy to the tune of $4.65 billion each year, an equivalent to 0.3% of the country's GDP. They were the youngest to ever receive the honor. 2019. BTS invited to the Grammys, Time Magazine, Billboard. BTS entered a new era. Not an era of simply global recognition, but global dominance.
Takeover.
April 12th, 2019.
A reign.
Enter Map of the Soul Persona.
Wow.
First things first, you can't mention Map of the Soul Persona without mentioning Boy With Love. It was simple math. What do you get when you cross the singer of one of the best charting songs of all time that went platinum 59 times in 13 different countries with, without a question, the most globally dominant pop group of all time? Well, you get this.
We know the whole making of this MV.
Nothing less than an instant hit. Number 8 on Billboard Hot 100. Platinum in the US. 21 music show wins. Number 1 on iTunes in 67 different countries.
Familia.
The most liked and the most viewed YouTube
My
video
heart.
in the first 24 hours. The fastest video to reach 100 million views.
And they're breaking more.
Over 1 billion views. 7 boys, 1 girl, and 7 different hair colors. They were the talk of the town, invited to talk show after talk show after talk show. The second single on the album was Make It Right. Written by Ed Sheeran himself, including a version featuring Lau. The album debuted at number 1 on Gaon and sold 3.2 million copies its first month, and that's only in Korea. It became the best-selling album in South Korea ever. It swept every major Korean music show, winning Album of the Year in each one of them. They followed up this legendary EP with the Love Yourself, Speak Yourself World Tour, where they sold out both the Rose Bowl and the Wembley Stadium in only an hour, the only non-English speaking act to do so. They even performed as a solo act in Saudi Arabia, the first foreign act to do that. The last stop of their tour was at South Korea's largest venue, the Seoul Olympic Stadium. They ended up grossing $200 million. During this time, they also created a visual novel-style game for mobile devices called BTS World, where the player can interact with the
soundtrack on that?
This also came with an original soundtrack with tracks unique to the game featuring Western artists. Zara Larsson, Charlie XCX, and Juice WRLD for the tracks
Those are all awesome.
Green Glow, and All Night, respectively. In December of 2019, the group swept the grand prizes for both the Melon and Mnet Music Award shows, the first artist to do that. Map of the Soul persona was legendary, truly a marvel in art.
And then we're gonna move forward to B and Dynamite.
How could BTS follow up the best-selling album in South Korean history, you may ask? Easy. Make an even better-selling album. And that's what they did with Map of the Soul 7. The album was released on February 21st of 2020, featuring the singles Black Swan.
Oh my goodness. We were supposed to go to this concert.
Yeah. This is when JK let us know that they were taking over.
1 million albums in just the first week, and the first Korean album to be certified as quadruple million on the Gaon Music Chart. It debuted at #1 on music charts all over the world, including
Like Familia, they've grown so much that I can't even wrap my head around it. He's just announcing records that they're breaking after records after records after records. And the crazy thing is, till this day, they're breaking records with their newest album, B.
Yes, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. I
No.
don't see it slowing down. I see them only getting better and working harder and getting more intelligent.
Yes.
And Familia, we haven't even hit Dynamite and Life Goes On, ranking #1 on the Billboard's Top 100.
I wonder if it's gonna be in this video.
I don't know.
Let's find out.
I don't know.
the US, Korea, the UK, Japan, and much of Europe. It's not an exaggeration to say that this album left a permanent mark on the world, launching BTS into legendary status and becoming the best-selling artist in South Korean
Legendary
history.
status.
BTS had scheduled a Map of the Soul tour for April of that year, which would have undoubtedly outsold their record-breaking tour only a year prior. But unfortunately, the COVID pandemic caused the entire tour
I still have my
to be postponed
ticket.
We still
for the
have
show
it.
at the Rose Bowl, which I was supposed to attend.
We still have
but
our
that didn't
ticket.
stop BTS, who performed virtual concerts,
Oh my
spoke at
goodness,
the
they
You're the
Dynamite
tiny
adapted.
concert too?
graduation event, and released the Japanese version of their recent album with an original Japanese single, Stay Gold. And to top it all off, this was only June. At this point, it was clear that BTS had already dominated their home turf, and they had topped the music charts all over the world. This time, their sight was set for the very top. Remember that scene in The Social Network where Mark and Sean talk about how they don't want $1 million, they want $1 billion? How they're not interested in catching 14 trout, but they'd rather catch an 800-pound marlin? Well, that's what they set their sights on. The marlin. The biggest music industry in the world, the United States. And at the top of that music industry, #1 on Billboard Hot 100.
Oh my
This small group from a company that virtually no one had heard about 8 years ago planned to take on Goliath himself and dominate the American industry on their
Take on
home.
Goliath
And all they had to do
himself.
was speak English. August 21st. Enter Dynamite.
And then after this, they did it with a Korean song.
Their first and only English single so far. Simultaneously performed better
Shoes
than
on.
anyone had expected, but at the same time is exactly what we as an audience had come to expect from the legendary boy band themselves. And they did it. They reached #1 on the US Billboard
Over Blinding
100,
Lights, over
the
Rockstar,
Global
over
200,
WAP.
and the global excluding US chart. And they made sure that if you hadn't heard of them before, you definitely have now. And if that wasn't already
Wow,
the biggest
I'm
flex,
so proud
on
to be
October 2nd
Army.
they came out with Savage Love BTS Remix with Jason Derulo,
JK's hair.
JK owned that song.
getting #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 again, less than 2 months after already getting it #1
Because of JK.
and on the Global 200, where they actually replaced themselves at #1.
They replaced
the first
themselves.
artist to do so ever. So what makes BTS so special? How did they achieve all this? K-pop is a genre that spans for at least 30 years, and there have been hundreds of boy groups and hundreds of girl groups. What did BTS do to rise above all of them and break through to markets never before seen? Historically, the boy band industry has been dominated by white English-speaking bands. And the fact that BTS has not only held their own, but blew any sign of competition out of the water on a global scale can be attributed to nothing less than their talent, hard work, and a bit of a 1 in a million miracle. They did it through their own blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak. Around the world, we see that boy bands have pretty much fallen into obscurity, but BTS is thriving. And though I've stated this all before, it's worth saying again, in contrast to other bands who would sing about romantic relationships with girls and what some would call predictable bubblegum pop tunes, BTS is continuously pushing the envelope and changing their styles. According to an article by Vulture.com, they describe this style as much less a successor of the Backstreet Boys and more of the successors of Michael Jackson, whose choreography and charisma were unprecedented. While of course there's a lot of love for the angelic vocals of BTS, rap has also played a very important part in creating their own style. In stark contrast to the typical boy band where every member sings, it's so refreshing when you're in the middle of a song and you hear RM's raw rapping skills, J-Hope's energy, or Suga's soul put into every single
lyrics.
line. Interestingly enough, at the first glance, it seems that the success of BTS was miraculous, despite not being part of the Big Three. But it can also be argued that their success was because of their separation from the Big Three. Their label, Big Hit Entertainment, whose founder emphasizes artistic freedom more than anything else, allowed them to make their own sound. And going back to BTS universe, it's not often that a K-pop group does something special with each of their songs and albums, utilizing strong storytelling that can go beyond simply the song itself, but rather interconnected with other songs and even other albums to create one large overarching story. And not only do they all have their own expertise in performance, but also each of them have had the experience of writing and producing their own music, and they're not afraid to let their style evolve over time. BTS during their debut is such a far cry from Wings era BTS and current day BTS. They also chose to tackle more adult issues instead of simply love and girls. While they definitely didn't have a shortage of those, they also cover other very important issues such as mental health, regret, following your dreams, hard work, self-love, and many, many, many others. Add that to the fact that as fans, we can feel the authenticity of the members themselves. They seem approachable. BTS seems like there's a place for every type of fan. And in this fast-paced world where things change at unthinkable speeds, BTS has stayed grounded and faithful to who they were and who they are. Those kids we saw on American Hustle Life, along with their dreams and passions, are the same men who stand before us today. And while some artists like to keep their personal lives private, BTS gives us a look at their personal lives through their vlogs, which allow us to become more connected to them than ever before. What is truly amazing is that, with the exception of just one single, they're doing this all while singing in their native tongue, Korean. Their music holds so much power that it literally breaks through the barriers of language. And no, they're not done yet. Today, November 20th, they're releasing their 5th studio album, V. Their singles on the album, Dynamite and Life Goes On. And chances are, life will go on for BTS. And chances are they'll continue to break even more records.
On this video.
They've shown that they're capable of dominating music charts across the world and even reaching across the Pacific Ocean and conquering the music industry in the United States. What's next for them? Mars? In any case, they only started in 2013, and BTS is as strong as it's ever been. As far as we know, they will only continue to light it up like a dynamite.
Oh, and this man needs to update. Wow.
Thank you to everybody who made this video.
Yes.
Wow. Asian Theory. Very well put video.
Yes.
Very emotional. That touched me right here. Right atrium. Left ventricle. One of those.
We have been ARMYs for about 2 years now, and honestly, we learned quite a bit about the beginning of their journey.
There are so many reasons to love BTS, you know, they're very transparent and they're not talking about like stereotypical things like a lot of other musicians and artists. Like, I believe that each member of BTS are true artists and geniuses, and I love how Hitman Bang gives them that creative freedom to like work on their own music and put like their soul into their music.
Thank you so much, BTS, and thank you so much, Familia, for recommending this video. And let's keep this journey going, Familia. We're only going up from here.
So, what do you want to do now?
Should we listen to Too Cool for School?
I'm down.
And for comment of the day, we have our lovely Erica. Thank you so much for being part of our Familia.
And if you enjoyed this video, consider checking us out on Patreon, where we post hour-long reactions like Run BTS, Bon Voyage, BTS in the Soup, BTS Summer Package 2019, etc, etc.
Burn the stage, bring the soul.
And as always, our beautiful Mexinese family,